Welcome, good evening, wonderful dice of all alignments. I am Lunar D8, and I just wanted to say real quick a what if scenario, which I'll probably put in the title. What if during this scene where, Mace Windu tells Anakin that while he's granted a seat on the council, they're not granting him the rank of master? What if in this scene, with the emotion that you see here at Hayden Christensen, which I still say that in the next X-Men live-action movies, especially since Hugh Jackman doesn't want to reprise the role, but if he does, we have a multiverse thing where you see multiple Wolverines. But what I'm saying is this: for recasting Wolverine, Hayden Christensen. I want Hayden Christensen to be Wolverine in the next X-Men movie. I don't know what the plot would really be. I don't know what X-Men would do for a plot at this point. I'm just saying Wolverine's definitely going to be there, right? I think Hayden Christensen would be an amazing Wolverine. Aside from that, like I said, the what-if scenario. After, Anakin just says, and then Mace Windu's like, have a seat. Like, it could be before Anakin apologized to Mace Windu, but what if Obi-Wan just, when he said, have a seat, Skywalker, what if Obi-Wan just stood up at that moment and was like, no, don't sit down, Anakin. And he's like, but Master, what? And he'd be like, yeah, you know what? We're leaving. Anakin, like what if, here's the scenario. What if when, right at this moment, possibly even wait 30 seconds for, Anakin to apologize. But whether or not it's before or after, either way, it would either have to be right before Anakin apologizes or right after Anakin apologizes for outburst. Because normally what happens here is, Obi-Wan just sort of shakes his head disapprovingly and is upset visibly with Anakin's response. And is obviously, he's being very, straightforward that he is on the side that Mace Windu has made the decision of. So, but yeah, I'm just saying, it could be right at this moment before he, you could no, don't sit down, Anakin. And but at the same time, it could also be, he waits to, Anakin apologizes, and then before when Anakin goes to go sit down, Obi-Wan's like, no, Anakin, stop. Don't sit down. And then Obi-Wan stands up, and Anakin's like, what? Master, why? And he's like, I'm leaving the council. It's like, I understand where you're coming from, Mace Windu, but I'm not okay with my friend, my brother, with my Padawan being disrespected like this. And then he basically should turn to Anakin and be like, you know what, Anakin, as far as I'm concerned, you are a Jedi Master. And you know what? If this council's not going to fucking recognize you, and then you know what? It doesn't need to recognize me either. I don't recognize this council. Council don't recognize you. I don't recognize the council. And then Anakin's like, but, so what are we doing? And Obi-Wan's like, I'm leaving the Jedi Council at least. I'll always be a Jedi, but we're not going to be part of this. Now, yeah, it would lead the story down a very different path. Bonus points if Obi-Wan gives a speech saying, also, Anakin, we've been really involved in this war, and I really don't feel like this is the place, this is what the Jedi are meant to do. And I understand why we're doing it, but it's just not something I'm comfortable with, so I don't want to do it. More bonus points if he's like, oh, by the way, everyone, I think Palpatine's a Sith. That'd be an interesting little debate right there. Like, yeah, you know, it's but main point is this: you'd probably leave the part out because you probably wouldn't expect him to Sith. Otherwise, they would have taken some other action earlier on. Same way, he probably wouldn't go as far to complain about the military situation. But I'm just saying, and like I said, it could be like right at this exact moment before Mace Windu tells him to have a seat, or 30 seconds later, where after Mace Windu tells him to have a seat, Anakin apologizes and then goes to sit down. Either way, it'd be Obi-Wan. Like, it could probably be after the apology, and Obi-Wan will stand up and be like, "No, Anakin, don't sit down. This council, like, as far as I'm concerned, you are a Jedi Master. And if this council won't recognize you, then I don't recognize this council. I'm leaving the Jedi Council. You and me, we can go wherever. But if this council won't respect you, then I'm off here. I don't want my seat." So, and yeah, that would change a lot of things, but really when it comes right down to it, the only thing that would really change at this point is you have what? The fight between Obi-Wan and Grievous. I'm pretty sure at that point, Mace Windu would be freed up to handle that. Heck, I'm pretty sure if Obi-Wan and Anakin just sort of ducked out at this moment, it would have probably prevented Order 66. You would also have two of the strongest Jedi together, able to watch each other's backs. So even if Order 66 went through, nobody would be able to fucking touch these two. So even if the whole rest of the Jedi Council fell to Order 66, at that point, Anakin and Obi-Wan would be able to reform the Council themselves. Even more than that, is that more than likely, Mace Windu would still be able to take out Palpatine. And, Yoda or somebody else would be able to take out Grievous. So at this point, it would actually probably save a lot of things. Plus, here's the biggest thing of all. Like, the biggest thing Anakin really needed was to know that somebody had his back. That he had that he had Obi-Wan's loyalty. That Obi-Wan actually fucking cared. Because as far as Anakin was concerned, he had the darker past where he was brought up as a fucking slave, treated like shit, and a piece of property. And then he wound up being part of the Jedi Temple, but, if you look into the whole Legends thing, the Star Wars Legends where it talks about his childhood, he was kind of isolated from everyone else at the Jedi Temple, all the people his age, because while he did a lot better than them at all the Force tasks, none of them really related to him about the stuff he had been through. They had lived a much more peaceful existence. He had this stuff that was still haunting him. Anakin probably needed fucking therapy. And instead, he basically got ignored a lot. And then you got the fact that a lot of his fellow students actually, made fun of him and got angry at him and treated him like he was weird. Heck, they would even call him slave as a fucking derogatory term out of anger toward him. And these are the other Jedis that he's training with that are his age. That definitely didn't help. And the most time around Obi-Wan, Obi-Wan was very distant with him. Not, Anakin was already concerned that, maybe Obi-Wan really didn't give a shit about him, and that Obi-Wan was just watching Anakin because it was a promise to Qui-Gon, which that wasn't true. That, Obi-Wan actually really did care about Anakin even then. It's just he really did not know how to show it, and he was very inexperienced as a teacher. On top of that, there was other things going on, and on top of that, it was just more of the point of he really didn't know what he was doing, and a lot of times he basically erred on the side of being caution, of being careful. And I know there's many other people out there that basically covered this idea that Obi-Wan was a bit aloof when it came to Anakin in his childhood, just because he was worried about, you know, doing. He was worried about fucking up. Obi-Wan was worried about fucking up, or being a bad teacher. So a lot of times he didn't do as much as he should have, and it wound up causing more of a detriment because it just made Anakin feel more alone. What Anakin needed here was to know that Obi-Wan had his back. Because out of everyone in the council, out of everyone with the heck, it's like Padme was the person he loved, but he also knew Obi-Wan was somebody he could trust. At that point, Obi-Wan was the closest person to him. It was really between Obi-Wan and Palpatine at this point. But after this, where, it basically, as far as he's concerned, his friend, Obi-Wan basically just took kind of a cowardly reaction, just sort of accepted the role of the council and what they said about Anakin, or he actually voted towards it. But the main point is this: it made it very clear that Obi-Wan was disapproving of Anakin's outburst and Anakin feeling upset about this. And keep in mind, the rest of it is like, okay, it's just, for him, it's like, he needed to know Obi-Wan was there for him. Now, is it Obi-Wan's fault that Anakin went dark side? No. Anakin still made that choice. It was still Anakin's decision to do everything he did. It's still Anakin's fault, and it's still wrong. But had Obi-Wan stood up for Anakin at this point, had Obi-Wan just, after Mace Windu told him, have a seat, young Skywalker, and Anakin, was like, gave a 30-second apology, bowed, and then went to go walk to his seat. Obi-Wan should have, before Anakin went to sit down, Obi-Wan should have stood right up and been like, no, Anakin, don't you dare fucking sit down. You know what? Well, on the one hand, I kind of see where everyone's come. Nah, he shouldn't even said that much about going there. He should have literally just been like, no, Anakin, don't you dare fucking sit down, man. No. As far as I'm concerned, you are a Jedi Master. This council won't respect that. This council doesn't see that, doesn't respect you. Then I don't respect this council. So if you're not a Jedi Master, then I'm not a Jedi Master either. Now, I don't know how, I'm pretty sure, script writers would find a better way to, organize this. But I think the best way to put it would just be let's try to have this clear and concise. Be like, no, Anakin, don't sit down. And you know what? You are a Jedi Master. And if this council won't respect you, I don't respect this council. So I'm giving up my seat. I withdraw from the council. Anakin, you and I, we're going somewhere else. Yeah, they wouldn't have been involved with all the stormtrooper stuff. But here's the thing. Order 66 might not have gone through at all at that point. Heck, even if it had gone through, it probably wouldn't have succeeded, because a lot of the reason why the Jedi were so off kilter is because they were really relying on Obi-Wan and Anakin for a lot of things. Without Anakin and Obi-Wan all of a sudden, the Jedi would have been so much more on edge. It's not like they would worry that Obi-Wan or Anakin would attack them or anything, but they would know that they'd be down two of their most powerful Jedi Masters. And so, they would take extra caution. Thus, they'd probably either be able to prevent Order 66, or more likely to survive it. And here's the thing. General Grievous would still get beaten, even without Obi-Wan fighting him. And Mace Windu, we already know that he can beat Palpatine. And without those other concerns, perhaps it'd be a more advantageous situation to fight. And even if Order 66 went through, Anakin and Obi-Wan could reform the Council themselves. And if Palpatine and Grievous won, well, I'm pretty sure the duo of Anakin and Obi-Wan together at this point Because after that, they probably would have done some more training. But above all is this. Anakin would know that he had Obi-Wan's undying loyalty, his love, his support, his friendship, his respect. And to Anakin, I mean, given his reactions through the movies, the way he responds to people, the things that he is afraid of, the things that make him happy, the things that make him agitated, sad, or even, melancholy, even as is. I mean, given his personality, that bond, that respect, because that's one of the big things that really was a thing for him. He wanted to feel respected. He wanted to feel cared about. He wanted to feel... It's not an issue of arrogance, thinking that he's above everyone else. It's not an issue of just wanting to be like, yeah, I'm more powerful than everyone. No, it was just an issue of he wanted people that he cared about, people that he valued, to know that they valued him, that they respected him. Because at the end of the day, it was an issue. He didn't need everyone in the world to respect him. He didn't need everyone out there. Anakin, for him, that was like maybe a nice little bonus, but for all points and purposes, he really didn't give a shit. I mean, heck, a lot of times where Obi-Wan said he was worried about politics himself and had Anakin do some of the interviews and stuff, Anakin didn't want to do that. Anakin really didn't care about the limelight or anything. He cared the most about the whole limelight stuff when he was Darth Vader, because he was more so that he was just angry and upset. So he was just basking in the fact that everyone was fucking scared of him, and it was a power trip at that point. But at that point, it was just the fact that he's coping with the fact that he's a severe third-degree burn victim all over his body, who's pretty much lost function of most of his organs, all of his limbs, because the only limb that Obi-Wan didn't cut off was already a robotic arm from the Count Dooku fight. He was wearing a fucking mobile, life support system, which I still think that's pretty funny. Not the life support system. My Little Pony. There's a picture I've seen some point where it was people were like, what does Darth Vader do inside his isolation chamber? And it's just they're like, oh, he must be doing dark meditations. And it's just, it's just Anakin watching My Little Pony. Okay, that's fine. But I'm just saying, I went off topic. Main point I'm trying to say is this. Then again, I know my very first video where I ever did any karaoke, which wasn't really even planned, because I was just trying to see what my own voice sounded like, which it's terrible. It's epilepsy ears. But hey, even though I can't actually sing, I enjoy doing it. It's kind of like I play my guitar. Not well, but I enjoy playing it. I'm just terrible at it. Probably help if I played it more, but off topic again. So I think the name of that video was Tone Deaf and Monotone. It was in the Super Meat Boy playlist. First 17 minutes of that is black screen because I didn't have a background or anything, because I was just thinking that I was never going to post it. But it's just, I had fun with that. I even did some Bane impersonations. I also did some impersonations of Obi-Wan and Anakin. So, called Anakin a simp lord. I still think it's a funny joke. But, yeah, I'm just saying this. That's what Anakin wanted most. He wanted that respect. Particularly, he wanted to know, he didn't want everyone in the world to like him, but he wanted to know that the people that mattered most to him, that he had their loyalty, that they cared about him, that they weren't going to just be trying to use him, they wouldn't just throw him away like a piece of garbage. He wanted to know that he actually mattered to those people. That he wanted to, especially there's Padme, and as time went on, you could tell, especially since there was times where he was worried about the whole Padme visions, where he went to go see Yoda. And couldn't, of course, say what the visions were about, but it's just, a lot of it is just Yoda's speech to him. Yes, I understand it's actually perfect in regard to a a lot of the way the Jedi stuff is. But really, the main concept of the Jedi is just, don't let your emotions control you. That being said, there's nothing wrong with having emotions. In fact, it's good to have those, and it'd be kind of weird if you didn't. But you have to understand, what your feelings are on certain things. That way you can actually try to be happier, or, not be manipulated by, Darth Sidious. But, yeah, I'm just saying. For him, the biggest thing is that he wanted Obi-Wan, to know that Obi-Wan had his back. That Obi-Wan was his brother. Obi-Wan loved him, respected him, cared about him. That he had that loyalty. And this scene just sort of showed Anakin that Obi-Wan didn't respect him. Obi-Wan didn't think highly enough of him. It's not an issue of arrogance. Because it's not that Obi-Wan viewed himself as superior to everyone else because he's like, oh yeah, I'm better than everyone. It was just an issue of that, hey, I can do these amazing things. Do people value me, for me? And do they value me for the thing? Do they at least acknowledge that I have these skills and value me? Like, am I respected for it? Because even if he's skilled or not, even if you're a person with great talent, it still takes a lot of hard work in order to be good at something. He just wanted, and it's not like he just wanted blind admiration and adulation from random fucking people. Granted, that would probably still feel good. But there's a difference between being Darth Vader in front of an army of people as you fucking force choke a son of a bitch, as opposed to, your close personal friend and the people that trained you and taught you, the people that know what they're doing, the people that know how impressive it is what you're doing is, and they're like, wow, they actually care. But, this scene sort of cemented for Anakin that, like, say with Yoda's speech, a lot of it just felt uncaring and empty. And it seemed that that Yoda didn't actually care about Anakin. That it made it very clear that Anakin probably felt that. He was like, if I died, Yoda probably wouldn't give a shit. He would just be like, oh, that's another Padawan down. Anakin didn't want to feel like he was just some resource, like he was disposable, like he was back when he was a slave, when fucking Watto, the dude with the wings and like elephant parts. What did they design him after an anteater or an elephant? Main point is this, and that was another thing. They have all these issues, even if you're fighting for a Republic or not. I mean, Anakin had to live through things, and he's still witnessing that stuff going on. So it's kind of like, okay, the Jedi are becoming more involved in things, and you're seeing a lot of people that it's like, do they really care? But even then, it was more so an issue of, do they care about people? But they even care about me. Because that was the thing, when that speech with Yoda, he couldn't be honest with Yoda about what exactly it was that was really scaring him. But when he was bringing up that he had such concerns, you could tell that it meant a lot to him that Yoda took the time to talk to him. But it also seemed like Yoda seemed disinterested to him. He felt like Yoda just didn't really care, didn't really have emotions, and he felt that, the platitudes, of Yoda saying, oh, you just have to learn to be able to let stuff go, it fell flat. It felt like Yoda was just giving him fucking fortune cookie advice and didn't actually care about him. And it made him felt like it was just that Yoda saw him as an annoyance. That Yoda saw him as just, oh, okay, this is just a chore, like doing the dishes. Just talking to this Anakin, Jedi Knight, to get him to do the job so he can, do this job for the Republic. That it felt more like he was talking to, because he was trying to talk to Yoda almost like the person would talk to a family member. And Yoda was, from Anakin's perspective, Yoda was acting more like, he was his boss, just trying to tell him, hey, I need you to do your fucking job. And I mean, at that point, it was like, what? We just giving Anakin a man up speech? Like, oh, suck it up. Like he just. I mean, not only does that fall flat, and it makes feel like he's not even cared about, but it makes him feel like the things that matter to him, or even him himself, it doesn't even matter. And like I said, that was the biggest thing during this scene, is that, especially after where Obi-Wan actually asks him to spy on the Chancellor, and it makes him feel betrayed, it makes him feel used. And that's the thing. If there's somebody that you look up to or respect, or want them to look up to and respect you, or have a mutual bond, like, this is my brother, we fight battles together, we got each other's backs, best friends, and all of a sudden you don't want to feel like that person's using you, asking you to do things that you are not comfortable with. And that was the thing. Like, he wanted to feel that he was cared about, that he had that person's loyalty, that he had the respect. And this whole thing made him feel that he didn't have any of that. And that either the Jedi Council either considered him worthless, or just an asset to be used, or a joke, or even something to be feared. But if you could put it in singular words, maybe made him feel ostracized. And in a place where he already felt like an outsider before in most of the world. It's like sand. It's very rough and coarse. And it was a bit much for him. And it's understandable. Like I said, it doesn't excuse Anakin's behavior, though. All the things that Anakin did were still wrong and inexcusable. But had Obi-Wan just stood the fuck up, and again, I'm not blaming Obi-Wan, because it was still Anakin's choice. Anakin still made the decision to cut off Mace Windu's arm and to kill all the people that he did from that moment on. So Anakin still made the decisions he made. And he's still, just as fucked up for making them. But you can at least see why he went that way. It was this moment here. And like I said, the Republic would have been fine without Anakin or Obi-Wan. Palpatine and Grievous would still fail. Order 66 may not even happen. The Jedi would have been more cautious anyway, so they probably wouldn't, even if Order 66 went through, they probably wouldn't have died. And heck, even if the worst case scenario where Grievous and Palpatine don't get killed, and Darth Maul somehow shows back up still alive, and all of the Jedi die, Obi-Wan and Anakin Skywalker having each other's backs, especially since they probably would have got a little bit more training in since then, but more importantly, you would have had an Anakin who wouldn't be able to be manipulated by Palpatine. You would have had an Anakin that would have had complete faith in Obi-Wan. And the two of them would have worked together with such amazing cooperation. They would have fought as one. They could have taken down all the Sith, any threat, all the clones, reestablished the Jedi Order themselves. So, like I said, if Obi-Wan, like I said, when Anakin was told to sit down, if Obi-Wan just stood up and said, "No, Anakin, don't sit down. As far as I'm concerned, you are a Jedi Master. And if this council can't respect you, I don't respect this council. I'm leaving the Jedi Council. You and I can go somewhere else. I love you, Anakin. You're my brother."